Yeah, it was like the fall of like Call of Duty zombie YouTubers, shit like that. Um, bunch of weird YouTube channels like How to Basic, Russian Hacker, weird like guitar teachers, strippers doing vlogs, Wolfie Lance, absurdity of Pornhub, and then failed dimensions, all this other shit. But got these weird, like really weird channels, you know, weird personalities. People seems like there's one guy who just called How to Basic, where he just crushes eggs and he throws his Xbox out the window, and it reminds me of McJugger Nuggets, whatever that one's called. Or McJugger something. And they're just terrible. A lot of them are just reminds me a lot of like reality TV kind of things and stuff like that. But they're pretty terrible. They're pretty. This is not like, why would anybody nor might want to, listen to a thing like that? It's not really, entertaining. It's so bad. It's more about the person, not really what they're doing. But there's a lot of weird ones like that. But when I was growing up, I was watching a lot of those like Call of Duty, those guys, not the people doing vlogs or the real life stuff. They're just sitting in a chair in a room playing a game. That was pretty much the gist of it. And if you're like kind of nice, people liked you, you get a ton of fucking views, like hundreds of thousands. Where it was like the tutorial videos and what were the other ones? The top fives, those were huge. Between like BO2 and like BO3. Because there were a lot of these down points where people were just bored of the game. Fucking Ghost was terrible. Advanced Warfare was even worse. Then BO3 came out. And for those 2 years, nobody was playing the game. Sure, it was like DLC, but it lasted like a week. It's like, oh, this map is new. I'm opening a door. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Let's solve the Easter egg. Easter egg solved. Okay. I'm bored. It wasn't until like 3 or 4 years later people did like speed runs and, Easter egg, different ways to make it more exciting. Like an Easter egg challenge. People were such geeks. But I watched people like all the Canadians, some Americans, some of the British. But one of the first was like Ali A. He didn't really do zombies, but he did some. What else? And then Dog JD, the Waffle guy, and then the Lexify guy, and then the Smith Plays guy, and then the 2 Pro kind of left it. Things with like COD Central. No, I'm not sure. And with these kind of like YouTubers, these personalities, a lot of them like branched out, did different type of things. None of them really got personal, or I don't think they have the brain power to do a thing like that. But they didn't really do anything great. Smith Plays guy did Pokemon, did like a podcast thing, which was pretty good. It's pretty good. I think he did vlogs at one point. But there was one interview with Lexify where they were talking about Neistat, Casey Neistat, where it was like YouTubers and Hollywood. Hollywood is the Titanic, and this new generation of internet personalities are the fucking iceberg, where they come crashing in. Or the other way around, I think, where it was like the YouTubers are the boat and Hollywood is the iceberg. No, I think I had it right the first time. Where YouTube is breaking Hollywood and that old type of entertainment where you got to pay, and it's not so connected. It's not so instant and quick and open and all that shit. So basically, he was just saying, once you're that, you can't become stagnant ever. You got to keep changing, keep doing more things, bigger, greater, stuff like that. So they were talking about that, and it's just so funny. It's so ironic where they were talking about it, and then boom, it happened like 5 years later where they're all counting on this game. They have their success because of the game. Some people left like Azura or whatever the hell else. People forget people like Crash Power or whoever that were pretty big, relatively speaking, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. I mean, nobody hears from them ever again, and they're just, sort of disappeared. But I played the game for years, watched a lot of these guys, and it was, I had some friends. We always loved the game. One time I stayed up till 11 in the morning. We would stay up all night playing like Origins or whatever the hell. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I had all these sort of ideas for videos I wanted to talk about, like the downfall of Call of Duty YouTubers and the absurdity of Pornhub. I was on there once, and there was, next to the search icon, there's a little green, it says weed, like weed search. You click on, a map comes up, and you can just find weed near you. So now a pornographic website is also selling drugs to people. Like, what the fuck? They don't have it in all these other countries, but if you're in the States or a place where they have it, like Amsterdam or wherever, you can just, like, that to me is absurd. On top of that, a lot of these chicks, a lot of these broads, they're doing interviews and they're reviewing sex toys, and where it's like, porn is so boring now that there's no mystery, Back in the day, you had the American striptease where you didn't know what a girl looked like underneath, and that was exciting, and now it's not, because women are fucking, they're very kind of like thoughts. They're very hoary, They're slutty. And that mystique, that mystery, that excitement, the unknown, the future, gone. So now what they're doing, a lot of them became very fat, and they're just getting all this extra tissue, which is fucking disgusting. But even on Pornhub, wherever, interviews, they're on like a fucking podcast. Like, what the fuck is this? And then they're reviewing shit, or they're doing like jerk off instruction videos, which isn't even porn. Like, what the fuck is this shit? This is ridiculous. So in both regards, you're seeing this downfall. That's what the two have in common, where they're very popular. I did a lot of Call of Duty videos over the years, starting from Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare. I don't think I did World War II ever. Maybe a little, like Black Ops 4, whatever. But you see this downfall, this sort of spiral with a lot of these personalities, and they got so successful. It was huge. I mean, so fucking big. You had these championship games where it was like ZWC, the Zombies, like World, whatever. And what was it called? You had that. You had EE4C. Like, it was big. I mean, they're still doing it, but the numbers aren't nearly the same. Where they're getting like 50,000 views when they have 1 million subscribers, or they're getting like 100,000 views when they have like 4 million subscribers. Like, you look at all these channels, and it's fucking. Maybe it's devastating. Personally, I think they had it coming. I'm a guy who only had like 21 subscribers for years, and one video goes kind of well, I'll get another 8. I fucking suck at that shit. I'm the kind of guy who only gets success doing like the natural thing, If it's not going independent, like maybe like working for another company. There's no way in hell nobody can discover me until I'm like 30 or 40 at least. But it's the way it is. So with Pornhub, it's a fucking absurdity. It's absurd what they're doing. They want you to be a fucking perv. They don't want you to have kids, and say, okay, cool. What's next? And it's. I don't know why the YouTubers are going down. Maybe because the game sucks. Nobody cares anymore. But I think people have moved on to TikTok. YouTube used to be the biggest thing. And I think TikTok or Twitch, whatever company, removed those people. Maybe they're on their phones. I don't know what. but less people are watching like video game kind of YouTubers. Maybe that's a phase. I don't know what, but I think TikTok. I just discovered that I just realized this like right now that people are on that more than they are on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, you know. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But there's a downward spiral, and you can see people like Turbo or Tim Hansen, or even the newer ones. I think Black Ops 4 or even Cold War. Black Ops 4 was the last big game. Cold War, it started to be big, but it wasn't. Black Ops 4 was the biggest hype. And you got all these other games, but people have moved on. They want free games, you know. And it's younger kids, and it's different, you know. That's why Fortnite was so big, because it's a cartoony game and all that shit. Cartoons are big. People love South Park, Rick and Morty, you know, Archer, Mike Tyson, whatever. And I think that has a lot to do with the failure of this attention to these YouTubers. And I know it kind of mishmashed it with Pornhub and all that other shit, but I think the reason why it's such a popular company, well, first of all, a lot of it's free, which people love. But there's another, I don't know why it's the most popular. Maybe because it has porn in the title? I don't know. But a lot of these stars now are just gross, you know? And I don't mean because they got an abortion or you got their tubes tied. I don't care about that. They're doing interviews. They're doing reviews. They're doing one-on-one sessions. It's fucking weird. Like, what happened to the old-fashioned movies that were like an hour or two long? There was editing. There was sound. There was music. You know? It was all on film. It was outside, not in somebody's house. They went out on the street and filmed that shit. Not every scene was sex. And the acting was actually good. And all that shit. There's a lot of funny ones out there. Serious ones too. They were like horror and sci-fi. Ever watched like I think there was like a Star Wars one, or there was another one I'm thinking of from the 70s. I can't remember what it was called. It was called Flash Gordon, based off the cartoon Flash Gordon. Very funny, very creative. They made clay, and they animated these clay like creatures or aliens, whatever the hell they were, and it was creative. Like, they put work into it. It took months. It took years to make this. You know, it was in a theater. You can't air that shit in a theater. Not nowadays. Ever watch Taxi Driver or any of those other old movies, where it's like, go to a theater, you just watch a dirty movie, you know? But it's a weird thing where it was so taboo. Now it's the least thing taboo. You know, the taboo thing used to be if you're having sex. If you have sex, it's like, oh my God, because people are afraid of sex. They didn't know what it was, you know? And now you're taboo, you're rebellious, you're weird if you don't have sex. It's like you're not getting laid, and you're still a virgin. You're 22, 23, 24. What are you, an alien? What are you, asexual? What the hell? So it's flip-flop now. You know what I mean? Or these stars, I guess, I wouldn't consider them that. It's a lot like Hollywood, where it's the downfall, you know? It's sort of this fake persona. It doesn't feel real, you know? It's boring. Like, there's no build-up. It's like immediate because they want to capture your attention, and people are impatient. Because there's no build-up. Oh my God, she's taking her clothes off. They used to be a big deal. Now it's like, oh my God, she's taking her clothes off. Next. And click on the next one. You don't care. Like, it's got to be there's got to be a punchline, but instead of being a punchline, it's got to be, what's the catch? What's the hook? And the same thing for Hollywood. They suck at making movies. I'm watching Russian movies. I'm watching, I don't know, British movies, older movies, stuff like that. Sputnik is great. Escape from Pretoria, I've heard, is great, which I want to watch. A lot of those kind of things. I'm going to end this off, but There were a lot of dumb inventions I did notice. Remember the Google glasses? Like how long did that last? The Google glasses. That was ridiculous. It was just gone, you know? See what else do I got? Oh yeah, why is drinking okay and smoking? I never really got that. Especially on airplanes too. You can bring cigarettes, just can't bring a light or whatever. And why are there ashtrays, Jesus Christ, everywhere? Ashtrays on the door for the bathroom, ashtrays in the bathroom, in the back where they heat up the food and all that shit. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And I also noticed Asians are very robotic and weird. They're like robots. They kind of are.